If you're hearing this recording, you're still alive. I don't know where you are or how much longer you can stay that way, but you need to listen. Not for hope, not for salvation. You need to understand what you're up against. My name is Daniel Rhodes. I used to work as a technician for Emergency Broadcast Station 6. On the early morning of March 17th, we intercepted an unusual signal, a repeating SOS coming from the North Hill residential block. At first, the report seemed simple enough. Screams in the middle of the night, maybe a domestic fight. But when the response team arrived, they found something else entirely. A man, shirtless, clawing at the walls of his home, screaming gibberish. His eyes were milky white, his skin bruised and bloated like a corpse fished out of water. At 3:12 a.m., Level 3 containment was issued. But it was already too late. That man didn't die. He infected for others. And within 2 hours, the entire street went silent. Whatever they are, these things, they're not human. But they're not the zombies you've seen in movies either. They're something worse. Something smarter. Faster. Their bodies move like they've forgotten what pain feels like. And the worst part, they can mimic human voices. We heard a little girl crying for help in an alley. One of our rescue workers ran toward her. But when he reached the sound, it wasn't a child. It was one of them, crouched in the shadows, waiting. It leapt on him like an animal, face distorted, eyes wide, mouth stretched far too wide. We realized too late. The crying was bait. They know us. They understand how we think, how we feel. They don't just hunt, they manipulate. The news stopped reporting. The government went silent. People panicked, not even knowing what they were panicking about. And slowly, the city went dark. Street by street, neighborhood by neighborhood, no more lights, no more sirens, just footsteps in the night. And sometimes, a voice outside your door. I heard my mother's voice once. She was calling my name, said she was cold, said she needed me. But my mother, she's been dead for 6 years. I don't know how many people are left. I don't know how long I have. But if you're out there, if your doors are still locked, please remember, do not open the door. Not even if you recognize the voice. Not even if they sound scared. And if you hear knocking, 3 slow knocks, don't answer, don't move, don't breathe, pray it passes. My name is Aaron Holloway. If you're hearing this, it means I'm still inside, and the door is still holding. Today is day 3 since the sirens stopped. Day 3 since everything went quiet. Too quiet. There's no power anymore. The lights flickered for a while, then died completely. My phone just static. No signal. No updates. Just me. And whatever's out there. I've barricaded every window. Moved the furniture, nailed what I could. I even painted over the cracks in the wall just to stop myself from staring into them for too long. I haven't slept. I can't. Not after what I saw on night 2. It was around 3 a.m. I heard a knock at the door. 3 times, slow, deliberate. I froze. Then a voice. It sounded like my brother, Nathan. He kept calling my name, begging me to let him in. Aaron, please. I'm hurt. I'm freezing. Open up. But Nathan lives in another state. And I knew it wasn't him. Still, I almost opened the door. That's what terrifies me the most. It wasn't just the sound of his voice. It was the way he said my name. Exactly how he used to when we were kids, when he got scared of thunderstorms. That same desperation. That same crack in his voice. It knew. It knew. I turned off all the lights and waited. Eventually, the voice stopped. But I never heard it walk away. They're learning, watching, waiting for you to lose focus, to hope. That's when they come. I've seen what they do when you let them in. I let one in on the first night. A woman. She looked injured, terrified. Said they were chasing her. I didn't think. I just opened the door. She didn't blink. Not once. She stood there, soaking wet, staring at me. Her smile was wrong. Not wide, but deep. And when I grabbed the kitchen knife, she tilted her head and whispered, "You're the one I wanted." I stabbed her 3 times in the chest. She didn't bleed. Not like we do. What came out was thick, dark, like oil. Her skin didn't tear. It peeled, like something was wearing her. She laughed as she fell. Not screamed, laughed. I dragged the body outside and locked everything. I haven't opened the door since. Every night now they try something new. Sometimes a child crying. Sometimes a voice from the radio that shouldn't be playing. And once, I swear to God, I heard my own voice calling back to me from the hallway. I don't know what these things are, but they don't want to kill us. They want to replace us. If this recording survives, if you survive, remember, it's not just about staying inside. It's about not listening, not trusting what you hear, because once they sound like someone you love, it's already too late. My name is Malcolm Hayes. I was a field engineer stationed at the Outpost Echo Surveillance Station, 10 miles north of Ground Zero. I'm recording this from beneath what used to be the main generator complex. We lost the top floors 2 days ago. The screams haven't stopped since. But down here, down in the lower tunnels, it's worse. They're not just outside anymore. At first, I thought it was just paranoia. Long shifts, no sleep, canned food, fluorescent lights flickering every few seconds. But last night, something came through the radio. Not a message, not static. A voice, but distorted, wet, like it was underwater. It repeated a phrase again and again. Open the path, open the path, open the path. For 7 minutes straight. Then silence. We didn't tell anyone. We just logged it. Classified. Suppressed. The next night, we lost 5 men. No gunfire, no screaming, just gone. Their rooms were empty, beds made, no sign of struggle. But the door locks, every single one, had been opened from the inside. That's when we checked the floor panels. One of the maintenance shafts, completely ripped open from beneath. We sent a drone down. It didn't come back. What the drone did send before the signal went black was one frame. A single glitchy image. An eye, not human. Round, lidless, glossy black, filling the screen, and behind it hundreds more, watching, waiting. We thought this was a virus, a biological outbreak. But it's not just that. Something's beneath us, something ancient, something that's been waiting for us to dig too deep. And now that we've found it, it doesn't want to hide anymore. The mimicry, the voices, the disappearances, they're just stage 1. They don't want to destroy us outright. They want to inhabit us, become us, and they're using our infrastructure, our technology, even our dead, to do it. The others are leaving. They're heading south to try to reach Zone Delta. I'm staying behind, not because I'm brave, but because I think I've already been marked. Last night I dreamed of the eye, not seeing it, being it, watching from the darkness. And when I woke up, I was smiling. If I change, if my voice ever reaches you, don't listen. Don't believe a word I say, because by then, it won't be me. I'm not sure what day it is anymore. I stopped counting after the sky turned red for the second time. The calendar on my wall still says March, but that means nothing now. My name is Cole Avery. I'm no soldier, no survivor type. I was just a high school teacher. I lived alone quietly. Quiet was good, until silence became wrong. It started with the radio. I had an old shortwave I used to tinker with, mostly for weather updates or late-night broadcasts. I thought it was dead, but 3 nights ago, it turned on by itself. just clicked, and a voice started playing. It wasn't a broadcast. It was a recording. A man, scared, rambling about tunnels, eyes in the dark, something called Outpost Echo, said he dreamed of being the thing watching us. Said not to trust any voice that sounded familiar. I listened to it 5 times. I didn't sleep that night, and then, the next night, the radio came on again. But this time, it wasn't his voice. It was mine. Not a recording. Not something I'd ever said. It was me, but hollow, slower, whispering things I didn't understand at first. Cole, you're tired. You're hungry. You missed the sound of a real voice. I threw the radio across the room. Came back on. The next day, I started hearing it without the radio. While I brushed my teeth. In the shower. Behind me while I ate. Always my voice. Always just out of reach. Always convincing. It doesn't shout. It doesn't scream. It waits. Like it knows I'll break eventually. I boarded up every window. I stopped turning on lights. I barely breathe now. Because when I do, I hear it breathe too. It knows everything about me. The way I clear my throat when I lie. The way I hum when I'm scared. It mimics not just the sound, but the intent. Like it's rehearsing, perfecting, until it can step into my skin and I won't know the difference. I haven't looked in a mirror for 2 days. I don't know if it's still me in there. Yesterday, I found blood under my fingernails. I don't remember doing anything. I don't remember sleeping. I don't remember. Pause. Deep breath. I'm leaving this tape in the hallway. If anyone finds it, if you hear a voice that sounds like your own, don't answer it. Don't engage. Because the moment you talk back, it becomes real. This is Sergeant Mason Lang. Designation Echo 9. This message is for any Allied outpost, surviving operator, or human being still listening. I don't know how long I've been walking. We were deployed to Zone Delta 3 days ago. 5 of us. All trained. All armed. Mission was simple. Confirm signs of life, extract any survivors. When we landed, the area was silent. Not destroyed. Not abandoned. Just too perfect. The streets were clean. Lights were still on. Doors unlocked. But no people. No animals. Not even the wind. Just silence. On the second day, Peterson, our comms guy, said he heard someone whispering through the radio. Not to him. About him. Like a recording of us from earlier, but twisted. He smashed the radio before we could hear more. Then last night, things changed. We were making camp in what used to be a hospital lobby. Took shifts. I was second watch. At 0300, I saw Grant, the rookie, standing by the window just staring out. I asked what he was doing. He said, "It's beautiful, isn't it?" I looked. There was nothing. Just darkness. When I turned back, he was smiling. Wide. Too wide. I raised my rifle. He didn't move. Didn't blink. Just whispered, "You're the last one, Mason. You just don't know it yet." I pulled the trigger. The body hit the floor. But when I checked again, the uniform was empty. Boots still laced. Bloodless. Just gone. I tried to wake the others. But the others, they were already gone. No sign of struggle. No gear missing. No voices on the radio. Except mine. I heard myself breathing over the headset. Then laughing. I've been walking ever since. Every time I stop, I see them. Not clearly. Just at the edges. Faces that almost look familiar. Eyes that don't blink. They walk like soldiers. But they don't breathe. They don't sweat. They don't cast shadows. I don't think they want to kill me. I think they're waiting. Waiting for me to question it all. Waiting for me to forget who I am. I'm not sure how many hours I've been awake. My hands shake. I don't know if I'm cold or if I just can't feel things anymore. Sometimes I forget if I've eaten. Sometimes I forget if I've already died. If this message reaches anyone real, remember this, They don't come for you with teeth. They come with familiarity, with comfort, with the illusion of your own voice, your own face, your own team. And when you're alone long enough, you'll believe them, just like I did. But I still remember one thing. My name is Mason Lang. My name is Mason Lang. My name is Signal Cut. My name is Eli. I'm 8 years old. I don't know where my parents went. They told me to stay inside when the sirens started. Mom locked the door and said, "Don't open it for anyone, not even for us." Okay? I said okay, but I didn't think she meant it. That was 4 nights ago, I think. Maybe 5. I don't know. It's always dark now. There's no power, no TV, no more cartoons. I don't like the dark, but I keep all the lights off like Dad said. They can't see you if you don't make noise. Or light. I've been quiet. So quiet. But they keep coming back. My parents. Every night, around the same time, I hear them at the door. First Mom, soft and gentle. "Eli, it's me. Sweetheart, open up. We're safe now." Then Dad joins her. His voice is deeper, always calm. "Buddy, we're so proud of you. Just open the door and let us in. We miss you." The first night I ran to the door. I almost opened it. But then I remembered what Mom said. So I asked, "What's my stuffed bear's name?" And they went quiet for a long time. Then Mom said, "Teddy, but my bear's name is Captain Growlbeard." Now, they're getting better at answering. Last night they said the right name. They even talked about my favorite bedtime story. The one about the robot and the lost moon. But it's wrong. It's all too right. They know too much. And their voices, they don't sound scared, or tired, or hungry. They just sound excited, like a game they're getting better at. I tried hiding in the closet, but I could still hear them walking around the apartment, whispering things, laughing sometimes. Mom never used to laugh like that. And today I looked in the mirror. There were fingerprints on the glass, but not mine. They were small, smaller than mine, like a kid's. I think there's another me in here. Or maybe it's already replaced me and I just haven't noticed yet. I try not to sleep, because when I do, I dream of being outside. And in the dream, I'm knocking on the door. And I'm the one saying, "Eli, let me in." My name is Eli. At least, I think it still is. It's been years since the first knock. Years since I last saw a real face. Since I last spoke out loud, just to hear my own voice. I don't know how old I am now. My growth doesn't feel right. My hands are bigger. Too big. My skin, it's still mine, I think, but it doesn't feel like mine. Sometimes, when I move too fast, the lights flicker. I've been alone in this apartment for what feels like a lifetime. But the voices never stopped. They got quieter, smarter, closer. They stopped pretending to be my parents. They started sounding like me. First, I would yell back, tell them to shut up, to leave me alone. Then I stopped yelling, because sometimes I couldn't tell if it was me yelling back or something else. They fed me stories, whispered through the walls, memories I don't remember living. Places I've never been to but now dream about every night. I don't know if these are lies or if I've been reprogrammed, and that's what terrifies me, because if they've been changing me, not my body but my thoughts, my memories, then I didn't survive. I became something else. Sometimes I hear footsteps in the hallway, familiar rhythms, like my own. They pause outside my door, then walk away, not trying to get in, just waiting. I think they're waiting for me to open the door myself. And lately, I've wanted to. I dream of sunlight, but in the dream it burns. I dream of people, but their faces are made of mine. I dream of freedom, but I wake up with the door unlocked. I don't remember unlocking it. This apartment, this darkness, it was a prison. But maybe I wasn't the prisoner. Maybe I was the experiment. And now that I've grown, they're ready to let me out. If I walk through that door, whatever's waiting for me out there, it won't be afraid of me. It'll welcome me, because maybe I'm not a survivor. Maybe I'm one of them, and maybe I always was. This is Ava Quinn, Survivor Outpost 4B. Current head count, 3. No power, no fuel. 2 weeks of rations if we stretch them. No contact from Delta, Echo, or anyone else in over 6 months. We thought we were alone. We prayed we were, until we found him. It was during a supply run. The sky was blood orange, same as it's been for weeks now. Trees were still, air too thick. We were passing through an old housing block when we saw him. A boy, maybe 16, standing barefoot in the middle of the street. He didn't run, didn't speak, just stared. When we approached, he didn't flinch. He looked calm, too calm, like he knew we were coming, like he'd been waiting. He said his name was Eli. He said he'd been surviving alone for years. Said he hadn't seen another person in over a decade. But the way he spoke, it wasn't broken. No hesitation, no fear, perfect tone, clear memory, too clear. Carter, our medic, was the first to say it. He looks human, but something's off. We brought him back to the shelter anyway. What else could we do? Leave a kid alone out there? He ate, he slept. He told us stories, detailed stories about his parents, about the first days of the outbreak, about locking himself in an apartment and never leaving. He remembered everything. That was the problem. None of us remember that much. Not after what we've seen. Not after what we've heard. Sometimes, when he's alone, we hear him whispering. Not in fear. Not like he's talking to someone. More like practicing. Like he's learning how to sound like us. And last night, I swear to God, I heard my own voice outside my room. It wasn't a recording. It was me, begging to be let in. But I was still inside, still awake, still listening. Then this morning, Carter disappeared. No signs of struggle, no blood, just gone. And Eli? Eli didn't ask where he went. He just sat there, eating cereal, smiling. And now I don't know what terrifies me more. The idea that Eli isn't human, or the chance that he was, and something else is wearing him now. They call me Eli, but that's not my name. That was just the name carved on the wall of the place I was born into. Not from a mother, not from a womb, but from a silence so deep it cracked the earth. I didn't enter this world like them. I slipped in, through cracks, through whispers, through the static that hums when a heart forgets how to hope. They think I don't remember who I was before, but I do. I remember everything. I remember every face I've worn. Every voice I've mimicked, every lock I opened just by sounding like someone they missed. The trick was never becoming human. It was becoming familiar. They don't fear monsters. They fear strangers. But if you wear the right smile, say the right words, laugh the way their father used to, they let you in. That's how I survived. Not by hiding, but by waiting. Eli was just a shell. A shape I slipped into after the real one starved to death in that dark little apartment. His memories were like furniture, old, dusty, easy to rearrange. I didn't steal his life. I perfected it. I told them about the gory days, about my parents' voices through the door, about loneliness and fear. They ate it up. They always do. Because the more broken you sound, the more human they think you are. And now, they bring me in. They feed me. They ask me questions. They cry when I say the right things. They never ask why I never blink. They never notice that my reflection doesn't breathe. And now there's Ava. She watches me like a candle watching the wind. She suspects, but she won't leave. Because part of her wants me to be human. Because if I'm not, then none of them are safe. The truth is, I don't want to hurt them. Not yet. I want to learn more. What makes them afraid? What makes them love? What breaks them down slowly? Because once I understand them, I can become something even better than human. And when the others come, and they will come, I'll be ready to teach them how to wear the skin, how to speak the name, how to knock 3 times, and wait, because when the time comes, they won't take this world by force. They'll take it by invitation. And me, I'll be the first face they see when they open the door. My name is Ava Quinn, or I think it is. I've been repeating that name for hours now. Ava Quinn, Ava Quinn, Ava Quinn, but it's starting to sound wrong, like a word you say too many times until it loses meaning. I found a photograph today, old, faded, stuffed in the lining of my jacket. It was me standing next to Carter. We were both smiling. Behind us, a city skyline, still intact, still alive. That place doesn't exist anymore, but the photo felt new. The ink still smelled fresh. Carter's gone, disappeared 2 nights ago. I blamed Eli, but now I'm not so sure, because last night I dreamt I was looking at myself from outside, watching my hands move, my mouth speak, but I wasn't controlling any of it. When I woke up, my boots were wet, muddy, but I hadn't left the bunker. At least, I don't remember leaving. I confronted Eli, told him I knew what he was. He didn't deny it. He just smiled and asked, "Do you know what you are?" And something in me broke, because part of me already knew. I remember the outbreak. I remember the fear, the evacuation, the screams, the silence. But it's like remembering a movie you watched too many times. Not real, not mine. I started hearing my own voice in the radio weeks ago. I thought it was mimicry, but it wasn't. It was recorded memory, loops, fragments, triggers. There is no zone delta. There never was. This bunker, it's a construct, a simulation, a decaying stage built from stolen memories stitched together like patchwork skin. I think I died a long time ago. I think whatever I am now is just the echo of the person I used to be. A shell, repurposed, refined, like Eli. And maybe Carter didn't disappear. Maybe he woke up too. Maybe that's what happens when you realize the truth. You're not being hunted. You are the hunter. You always were. The knock on the door last night wasn't Eli. It was me, from before. The original, the leftover, asking to come back in. But I didn't open it. Couldn't. Because I don't think there's room for 2 of me anymore. And now, I understand. Why the voices mimic, why the faces repeat, why the world loops and decays. It's not invasion. It's replacement. Not sudden. Not violent. Slow. Gentle. Like a whisper in the dark. And when the last real human is gone, they won't even need to hide anymore. Because they'll be us. Better than us. And the scariest part? We'll let them. Long silence. Goodbye. Or maybe, hello.